What is up, man? Hope you guys are doing very well. We're going to be talking about Solana. We're going to be talking about this price, currently sitting at $181.64. We can push this up way far. We'll talk about how far, and we're going to get into some nuances as well, into going way into 2025, because I think it's going to be a spectacular year, not only for Solana, but for a lot of projects and platforms, blockchain, DeFi in general. Let's go and get into the report. What is up, man? Hope you guys are doing very well. Happy Friday to you. It is a fabulous Friday. The market is bipolar. It's been up and down all week. The last 2 weeks have been pretty crazy with the market. When I say bipolar, I do mean bipolar. Bitcoin is extremely bipolar at this point in time. Even though there's a surmountable amount of inflow as well, there's some outflow. Mt. Gox, 90,000 BTC. That is going to be a part of the outflow going into the latter part of this year. But I don't think that's going to affect Bitcoin. Now, we're looking at Solana. We're talking about Solana. We're looking at $181.91 for the particular price point. Very consolidatory, very nice sideways movement. This is what we like, right? Going into the latter part of this year, which is going to be pretty bleak when it comes to retail, when it comes to interest rates. I don't think we're going to get a surmountable cut. I don't even think interest rate cuts even matter at this point in time. Retail is going to suffer. I think the inflow factors going into crypto is going to be a lot of old money. As we look at a $2.42 trillion market cap, up almost 5%. Daily volume, we're talking about 24-hour volume, almost down 20%, and that's kind of like reflecting on Solana's 25% downward trend when it comes to the volume as well. Now, let's go ahead and move to trading view. Let's talk about floor and resistance. I got a resistance level set within a 7-day period. We're going all the way back to the 19th of this month, guys, all the way up to this point. $168 is going to be the floor. Very consolidatory. And let's go ahead and say that actual ceiling is going to be around $184. It's going to be your actual resistance level. I think we're going to probably continue this consolidated measure going into the weekend, going across the weekend. Maybe Monday, we may see a resistance blast up above 184. That is to be determined, but right now it looks like we're going to be going sideways. Exactly what you're seeing here, with a floor at around $168, 184 resistance level, possibly moving past that. I'm not too sure about that. Now let's go ahead and get into DeFi alignment, because we're talking about price, right? We're talking about going into 2025. There's a lot of factors here that we need to be concerned about. And exclusively, I'm talking about that spot ETF filing of a Solana ETF. Now, we do have the Ethereum ETFs, those spot ETFs. They're doing quite well. There are a lot of outflow, guys, that we actually witnessed a couple of days ago. We did get the initial inflow, but we're going to be reacting to VanEck CEO. We're going to listen to what he has to say about this, because he's bullish on Solana ETFs as well as XRP ETFs as well. They did file the necessary paperwork, but the actual outlook is kind of gloomy. That actual interview is very telling. He talks about Ethereum ETF performance versus BTC ETF, spot ETF performance as well. He gets into a lot of nuances about that. We're going to react to that here shortly. But right now, let's go and look at the TVL, $6.8 billion total value lock. This is Solana. These metrics matter. We're going to look into the actual categories and the actual protocol ranking as well, the ecosystem, because Solana is not just meme coins. That volume is crazy, but there's more to Solana, guys. And this is what attracts me when it comes to blockchains, not meme coins, the actual substance, which is your liquid staking, your DeFi platforms, your borrowing and lending, your DEXs. We do know Jupiter and Radium is part of a pretty big block when it comes to DEXs within this ecosystem. Oracles, we're talking about derivatives market, things of that nature, liquid staking, farms, NFT platforms, which are sagging big time, even within this ecosystem. Across the board, the NFT numbers are really low, guys, really low. There's even an NFT lending platform on Solana as well. That is down almost 50%. You're talking about dual financing options as well, 18% down across the board. Let me get to these NFT numbers, because I think these are dragging down a lot of the actual platforms across the board. Only one, which is going to be a big NFT platform on the Solana blockchain, down 30%. And that's going to be the actual marketplace, down 30%. Across the board, on a week standpoint, down negative 26%. This will bring a platform down. And you have NFT lending down 20% as well within a 24-hour period. This is recent downward trend, guys. Negative 60% when it comes to RAW lending. It's going to be CredX if you do partake into that. You already know this thing is cratering big time with a volume count of around $48,000. So you have these indicators here within, and again, another uncollateralized lending platform. So lending and NFTs across the board, not only with Solana, bringing down a lot of platforms. Now, we're looking at the TVL. We're going to squeeze it and go right up to, from March is when you're seeing a really huge bump in TVL. I would actually say February, we're sitting at around $2.4 billion worth of a total value locked, essentially. And we'll go from June to July, a consolidated pattern, going sideways, pretty sustainable emotion as well when it comes to TVL, which is good. This is up from February, which is around 2.5 billion. We're looking at almost $7 billion worth of a total value lock. This is good. You also seen that spike in Cardano as well. This is bullish. Just for me, looking at this, these particular numbers, this is very bullish for these particular ecosystems because this is people are on notice. Now, a lot of this actual hype, a lot of this actual inflow is really for the anticipation of the ETFs. And we're going to get into that because if you really look at the volume, we're going to look at the volume chart as well. Volume has picked up dramatically as well. Even though it's down almost 20%, you're looking at a considerable amount of volume that just came, almost $2 billion worth of volume that was registered on the 24th. I see this trend going up. Now, I want to see it back to where it was around almost 4 billion within a day. This is on March of this year. If we can get back to that, that's going to bode very well for this particular blockchain going into 2025. Those price points can be up to around $300 to $400 by January going into next Christmas season. We may even see $1,000 Solana price. So that is very interesting. Now, as far as revenue, this is where it's at. You want the ecosystem to produce money. All right, this is what the developers need for proper innovation. Revenue did fall to the tune of around $733,000 that was registered on the 24th. That is going to be your most registered metric when it comes to revenue within a 24-hour period. We need to get this up to around $1 million a day. That would be significant. We're probably not going to see the volume that we saw around March 17th of this year. That was around almost $3 million within a day worth of volume. That's when you've seen the spike in the price. So it's pretty much consolidatory right now from May all up to this point with a pretty considerable spike at around 1.3 mil. That was going to be the 26th of June. And it's kind of settled at around 733, just under $1 million, guys. So that particular revenue, it's money still coming in, which is good for the ecosystem, which is good for development, but we do need that more. And we're going to get that, especially if we get a crypto ETF out, Solana ETF out, approved. Going into next year, this price is going to go bonkers. It is what it is. Now, let's go ahead and get into this interview. Now, the headline for the article, check this out. VanEck CEO rules out the approval of a spot Solana ETF in the US over the short term. Unless this happens, we'll get into a quote too as well. Now, this is going to be the actual CEO, chief executive of the financial giant. This is going to be a quote from VanEck. Quote, "We filed for a Solana ETF and Solana is competing with Ethereum, but I don't think that's going to be a short-term listing," unquote. Now, however, when asked if Solana ETF would likely get a green light to launch if the Republican Party prevails in this presidential race going forward, he actually said yes. Because, and here it is. Now, I want to talk to you guys personally on this. Now, I'm not getting political. This is not what I'm headed with this particular video, but this is relevant, right? We have a current administration that is very bearish on crypto sentiment, very bearish. And frankly, I think they're just scared of the technology. And I think they're scared of what it may do when it comes to fiat, all right? Let's just face it. Fiat is dying, all right? You see the Saudis moving very heavily with China, with Enbridge. When it comes to CBDCs, when it comes to wholesale CBDCs, that movement is real. Fiat is dying. A lot of the countries are moving away from fiat. Insert cryptocurrency, insert blockchain technology. I think this is, our government is very afraid of this. The current administration, we already know they're very afraid of this. I think we need a regime change because with the Republican Party, you see a mass acceptance when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to blockchain technology. You see a ease of assault when it comes to, or a siege when it comes to cryptocurrency activity within this country. The Republicans are all for this. A lot of Democrats, I don't know if they just don't like it or they're ignorant towards the situation, the notion, the particular technology, or they're just not bullish. They're fiat hogs. So we will see going forward, but the actual CEO thinks that a Donald Trump presidency is going to be the best thing going forward when it comes to cryptocurrency. Now, as we move back to the actual article, let's go ahead and get into this particular situation. We're going to react to this because I believe this is a very important interview, and I want you guys to understand and listen carefully to the CEO of VanEck. And let's go ahead and get into it. It's very interesting.
Bob, we're looking at crypto. Dom, good to see you as always. Ethereum ETFs, they've begun trading today.
And again, guys, it's about 3 minutes long, but there's a lot of detail. Let's go ahead and get into it.
So will it be the hit that spot Bitcoin ETFs were when they launched 7 months ago? Let's talk with Jan VanEck. He's the CEO of VanEck, which launched the VanEck Ethereum ETF this morning. Jan, your ETF's out. The others are out. First off, are they tracking Ether? People ask me that. And do you think Ether ETFs can be the hit Bitcoin ETFs were when they launched 7 months ago?
Yes and no. They're trading very well. Ethereum products have traded around the world for several years now, and the launch was very smooth. I think there were a lot of kinks when it came to the Bitcoin ETFs in January, but now things are going well. The interest in Ethereum's market cap is like a third of Bitcoin's, and I think investor interest will be less. Today's flows are...
All right, let's stop right there, because I think comparing this particular situation, I'm talking Ethereum spot ETFs to the Bitcoin phenom, although it did start off a little rocky, a lot of delays, it's doing really, really well. It's holding Bitcoin at where it is now at around 67, 66. That's all ETF, guys, right? So, because we see the outflow. Ethereum is not going to do that. And this is what Juan's saying. Ethereum is not going to do that. Even though it's worldwide accepted, a lot of people would rather buy the Ethereum on the market than stake it. It's a whole lot easier. You can self-custody that situation. You don't have to go through intermediaries. You don't have to go through custodians, things of that nature. You don't have to pay these high fees, right? People would rather do that. Now, again, you may say, "Oh, this is pretty bearish." I think it's just I think it's relevant to have this conversation, because I don't think it's going to perform like BTC, but it will perform in its own right, and it's going to be going into 25. It's going to be pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and continue with this.
In the 10 to 20% range of Bitcoin's flow, so a lot lower interest.
Now, you launched with zero fees again for the first year, I think, and most others also have zero fees as well for the full.
I just want to point out that zero fee entry, I think that was very smart. I think this was very smart. There's only a couple of more that are doing this. I don't think BlackRock is doing zero fees, but I got to tell you, if I'm wrong, let me know, guys. But the VanEck starting off this way, I think that was very smart. Zero fees.
For the next 6 months. You did this with Bitcoin ETFs as well. This is costing you a lot of money to float these two things. What's the rationale for no fees? You can get in for nothing, essentially.
Yeah, I think what people are doing is moving some of their existing holdings into the ETF format. And in order...
All right, let's get into that, because I always talk about liquidity being moved from blue chips and things of that nature. I talk about this when it comes to meme coins. You see this a lot. Now you see this siphoning effect when it comes to these ETFs. Nobody talks about this, but these Ethereum ETFs, if you looked at the charts when they were launched, you could see a drawback of liquidity, all right, within the blue chip top 25. They cratered. And just like the CEO said, all right, this VanEck CEO said, a lot of people moved their liquidity from those projects that we've seen crater right after the launch of these Ethereum ETFs to these spot ETFs, right? Now, you also see a lot of that moving back. And that was part of the outflow that we noticed a couple of days ago with these spot ETFs. Let's go ahead and continue.
For issuers to entice that movement, they waive the fees early on, so it's not suddenly I'm getting it for free and now I have to pay more in the ETF. Yeah. So I think that it worked.
Yeah. So a lot of the crypto enthusiasts are very excited about this, because they say Ethereum is very different technology than Bitcoin, for example. So Bitcoin's a digital currency.
No, absolutely. Two different monsters.
Ethereum, they claim, is more of a technology play because of the emphasis on the smart contracts, on decentralized finance. So do you believe that argument?
I actually like the Ethereum spot ETFs way better. Just because of what he just said. I think going forward, 2025, 2026, 2027, they're going to be way more profitable. Now, you can't stake the ETF, obviously, and a lot of people were really thinking, a lot of people were not educated about it, and that's probably why they're kind of bearish on it. You can't stake these, but you can buy ETH in the free market and stake it, right? So, but I still think these ETFs are going to be phenomenal 2-3 years down the road.
Add enough to attract new people to this as an investment and in using the technology itself.
Yeah, we describe Ethereum as the open source app store, where it's the base thing and people can build things on top of it. Over the last year, people spent about $3 billion doing transactions on top of Ethereum, and another $4 billion for the apps that use Ethereum technology. Now, so that's a real thing.
Yeah, and want to get
$4 billion. Just layering on top of it. Not to mention the L2s, which I talked to some devs and they're saying L2s are going to die. L2s are going to be obsolete and going into the new year in 2026, 2027. I could totally see that, especially with this paw chain L3 is crazy. So if that is replicated within the next 5 years, you could see the L3 technology taking over and assuming positions. Now, let's continue.
Get into that more in the ETF Edge shows. I guess the bigger question is this going to open the floodgate for other crypto ETF assets out there?
I don't think so. We filed for a Solana ETF, and Solana is competing with Ethereum, but I don't think that's going to be a short-term listing.
You don't think so?
No.
What about a regime change in Washington?
Then yes.
All right, so I just read you that quote in the article, and this is coming from the CEO's mouth. They did file the spot Solana ETF. That's going to be very bullish. I think we're going to get those, but we do need future market data as well. Solana does not have that. I think going forward, this may take some time, but and let's go ahead and pivot out and close this video. This is going to take some time when it comes to the actual spot ETFs. That's going to push Solana and a lot of other projects who do get their ETF approvals 1,000x past where they're at, just because of that influx that is going to come. We're talking about Tron. Hopefully we can get a paw chain ETF. That'd be amazing. I have to tell you though, when it comes to the spot ETF approval, when it comes to Solana, just as you already heard that. This is from VanEck. They already filed it. But there's a gloomy outlook going forward because there's much to be discussed. Many things to be ironed out. But if we do get a regime change, if we do get a Republican administration elected this year, that is going to be bullish, not only for Bitcoin, but for these crypto ETFs, the further induction of a spot ETF approvals. And I think it's going to be expedited. We're going to get these pretty quickly, and they may roll downhill. So if we do see Donald Trump, if we do see his administration, if we do get Elon as a crypto advisor within this administration, which is looking really, really good, seeing Elon as a crypto advisor in this particular potential Republican administration going forward, I think it's very bullish for cryptocurrency. What do you think about the report? And most importantly, have a great weekend. We'll see you on the next show.